Hi, welcome to another episode of Street Sociology. Today I'd like to discuss the absolute state of commercial media in Australia. A few days ago there was a mass stabbing attack in Sydney at a place called Bondi in a shopping centre, and a individual stabbed 17 people, I believe, 6 of whom died, and then the perpetrator was shot by the police. I'd like to just discuss the way that the media, both Twitter, social media, X, and commercial media, handled the breaking news on this, especially given the troubled times that we live in. Again, I just got to say, the way the media handled it was absolutely disgusting. It was repugnant. Whenever there's a major and disturbing event anywhere in the world, it's always been true, media outlets have a financial profit interest in being the first ones to break the news. They also have an interest in being the ones to scare you the most, because therefore you're more likely to subscribe and click and they get more ad revenue. But as a consequence of this, they really like to be the first ones to get out information. And the worse something happening is, the more fiendish they are in doing so. So as soon as this took place, immediately a great deal of rumour and disinformation began to be spread from Twitter, or X as it's apparently now called. A lot of people with no jobs and an agenda they felt the need to push filled that thing up with disinformation, pretending to be fact, within minutes. Within half an hour of the incident reaching the press at all, I saw online news and so-called experts on Twitter, and of course people who call themselves independent media experts, all make up actual lies and aggressively spread them. I saw multiple outlets online, not quite commercial media, but online, claiming to know that the perpetrator was a Jewish man targeting Palestinians. I also saw other people lying and pretending to know that the perpetrator was a Middle Eastern man who was targeting Jews. Those two things don't quite go together, but of course the disinformation factories online pump that out as soon as possible, because there are people with no morals and an agenda. These people are constantly at the forefront of making up lies in their own head and then presenting them as fact. In the course of these individuals spreading their misinformation, they actually managed to find an image of the wrong person when claiming he was the perpetrator. They found someone unrelated who was half the age of the actual perpetrator, a Jewish man from Sydney, ran his name and picture claiming they knew it was him that did it, and his ideology had something to do with the war in the Middle East. And then Channel 7 Australia ran his name and said that he was in fact the perpetrator. Channel 7, multi-billion-dollar company here in Australia, without checking, found whichever piece of known disinformation they decided they liked the cut of the jib of and ran it on national news with the wrong name without even checking first. They left that up for hours. There's consequences. This has happened before with the Boston Marathon bombing, where people online got hold of the wrong person and then plastered their name around everywhere. That gentleman ended up taking his own life. There's consequences. The absolute state of our media, especially during this, is worse than ever, and it's always been pretty bad, at least the for-profit media. The only channel I saw that didn't actively spread disinformation to get more attention was the state-owned Australian Broadcasting Commission, the ABC. As always, they were the only ones who approached it in a rational and, truthful way. The for-profit media companies in Australia jumped in and pumped out whatever disinformation they could get their hands on to get more clicks. Then, I'm watching the news. I'm trying to catch up on these unfolding events, because of course when this sort of stuff happens, there's a lot of confusion. Was there one attacker? Was there two? Was there this? Was there that? So I wanted to know. Unfortunately, my television, my smart television, isn't picking up ABC at the moment, so I was subjected to commercial media in the form of Channel 9, who are just as bad as Channel 7. Two gentlemen who were present at the stabbing attack and actually helped save the life of a baby that was attacked were then aggressively interviewed while trying to leave the massacre site by Channel 9, who peppered them with the most repugnant questions, asking for the most graphic and explicit of detail relating to the injuries sustained by a baby during the attack. They asked the same question 3 times in different ways. Not because of concern for the baby's welfare, they explicitly wanted specific gory details of the injuries. How do you people sleep at night? The two gentlemen involved, being in shock, dealt with it in a far more calm and open way than I would have. I honestly don't know how you people sleep at night when the media asks these sort of ghoulish questions to people in shock from seeing something like this. And then you plaster it on national news, trying to get people riled up and emotional so as to, provide you with more advertising revenue. I'm not saying it's ever been any different from this. It probably hasn't, but it is literally and aggressively getting worse. Worse. So yeah, we had all this disinformation. Then it became a huge battle online of ideologies because some people wanted it to be a Muslim, some people wanted it to be a Jew, some people wanted it to be, I don't know, a Nazi or whatever other bad person we have. I'm like, hang on a minute, can you people just hold up and go, what, do you want there to be bad things happen just so you can prove a point online? I mean, it's ghoulish. It's disgusting. You put away all our attention-seeking crap and focus on the fact that we're supposed to be a nation of Australians. And it's not just the politicians trying to divide us, which they are. It's not just the media. It's some people as a whole shoving their agendas. They want there to be bad stuff happen so as they can say that they were right and somebody else was wrong. It's getting out of hand. I swear social media is really not helping with this stuff. In any case, as it turns out, the perpetrator was in fact a Australian guy who came from Queensland down to Sydney. He was, mental health concerns, itinerant, homeless, drug abuse, may have had schizophrenia. I don't know if the voices decided to tell him that he had to go and murder like 6 innocent people. I don't know. You know what? I'm not saying I do know. A lot of people are saying they do know, even though they can't. The fact is, it wasn't a Muslim or a Jew or any other person involved in any greater global conflict. As near as the police can tell at this point, he may have been motivated by a hatred towards women. It's funny how, it's not funny, but it's, let's say, noticeable that as soon as you find out it's not a foreigner, then, it's all to one side. It's all, well, he was just mentally ill, or maybe he just hated women, but, we don't really care because at least he was an Aussie. Like, it's repugnant. State of things. But the fact is, we don't actually know what his true motivations were. The fact that he targeted a lot more women than men, maybe that's part of it. Maybe he was just scared to go people his own size. I don't know. Neither do the cops. Neither do you. And damn sure, neither do disinformation factories on Twitter made by attention seekers with no job. Really need to be better. There's consequences to this stuff. When you decide to go out and name the wrong person as an attacker in a major thing, just because, you want to be first or you want attention, people can die. Lives get ruined. I don't know what has to happen to somebody to make them so self-obsessed and greedy that they're willing to destroy the lives of others just to bring a bit more attention to them for a few minutes. It's disgusting, especially during what's happening in the Middle East between Israel and Gaza. Now, yesterday, Iran, for the first time in history, actually fired weapons, in this case cruise missiles and drones, from their own territory into the territory of Israel. You probably didn't know that, and most people don't even care because they're too busy spreading crap online to suit their agenda. During times of war, which we have one in Europe at the moment, obviously, and again one in the Middle East between Israel and Gaza, and I must say it's pretty horrifying how wound up people are globally about that. people are just obsessed with their side must be right and only does good, and the other side must be bad and only does bad. Like, newsflash, everyone does bad stuff. The idea of having two warring parties, both of whom are violating the rules of war and Geneva Convention as a matter of course, and saying yours is better than the other one, a little hard for me to swallow. But that's time for, that's going to be in another video, a more nuanced one. But in the meantime, I've got all these global tensions, everybody's wound up to 11, and as soon as something bad happens, these vultures swoop in and just make a total mess out of it, just for attention and advertising revenue. My broad point here is, let's all do better. Let's all do better. Just because someone says something on Twitter doesn't mean you have to post it on Facebook and yell, la, 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 I'm right, or I'm wrong, or the other person's wrong, or something. We're talking about division for 5 years, and all I see is it getting worse. And the worst thing is it's percolated down from governments and media down to normal people at a worse level than it probably even was during COVID. It's a sad state of affairs. We all have some, I wouldn't say we have a responsibility to do better, but it would surely be in our own interest, and not just governments, media, but ourselves. When something god-awful happens in the world, try to wait at least 24 hours for some facts to come in before we all go running off on our high horse about it. I feel as though that would help calm things down a little bit. I know this is a little more of an informal sort of thing than I usually do, and if you wish in the comments you can tear my opinions to pieces. As always, I'm perfectly happy with that. You could say this video is made more with passion, I suppose, but I'm just sickened by the state of the media and online, social media and commercial that I saw in the last 2 days. It is just sickening. We can be better than this. I can be better. You can be better. Everyone can be better than this. But at times where everything's so messed up worldwide, it would very much be in our interest to not go running off, half-cocked, at the first piece of information we think suits our agenda. We can do better than this. Street sociology.